Welcome to day 4, officially over the halfway point, and I would even say a little bit further along since day 3 was such a big one and took so much more time. The rest of this is going to feel like such smooth sailing and so easy compared to that day. So in the last 3 days, you have measured and recorded your homepage output, audited your images, and optimize them. So you have done so much to reduce your carbon output already for your website. Congrats on that. You should feel so good. Today, we are switching gears just a little bit to focus more on the accessibility side of things. So images are really great for those of us that can see, but for those who can't, we can't leave them out of what's actually going on the page. We have to consider their user experience. So today is all about alt tags and captioning. You will be able to find these steps in the PDF, and that will be a really good quick reference back as you move forward in your web design and development career. And if you're looking for a little bit more explanation, then stay tuned for the walkthrough happening right now. All right, day 4 is all about alt tags and captions. And this is really where the people side of green web design takes front and center stage. And that is what we are talking about. So I'm going to walk you through what's in here. This should serve as a quick reference guide in the future. And this is just to add a little bit more explanation as to how these decisions are made. So this will give you those action steps that you need to take and right into the examples. So one type of image that you're going to have on your website, maybe not, is a functional image. And these are ones that take you somewhere. They ask you to do an action. So these can be, maybe it's an image of an envelope and it's to email you. And maybe there's text on it that's like in the image and not actual text on your website. So you just need the alt text to say what to do. So on my website, what I have for these is the icons at the bottom of my website that go to social media. So on the Instagram one, the example of the alt text would be something like, click here to view our Instagram profile, clearly telling the viewer, okay, this is like what you're going to do when you click here. It gives them a quick notice of, do you want to continue to click? Then on the other half of the screen, the image that we're talking about is that send us your project inquiry. Just a disclaimer, this on my website is not actually an image, it's coded, but if you end up with a button that you make as an image because you want it a specific way, this is exactly how you do that. I do recommend completely making all of your buttons text so that the screen reader just reads the text. But if you end up in this situation, I just want to throw it in here as an example because these are so important to get correctly. The alt text would then be, click here to send us your project inquiry. You want to make the alt text very specific of what they should be doing with it and then where they're going to go. So this tells them to click here if you want to do this, to leave no confusion of it. The second type of images that you're going to have on your website, which most likely what you're going to have the most of, are going to be informational images. So these are images that give the user extra information. Not every single idea on your website can be represented as text, especially as a graphic designer. My work needs to kind of speak for itself in images. I can't just write a paragraph about what it is. So even though that is, we can't just leave out people who have visual impairments. We have to still help them understand the information. So on the left, the alt text here, it should really just describe the image as best as you can. So I have it as 2 hands holding raspberries that are painted blue. That's what's going on in the image. You could just say like blue raspberries and you wouldn't be technically wrong, but just adding a little bit extra of like what's actually going on is a little bit better. And again, you kind of want to keep these limited to about 125 characters. You don't want to go overboard. On the right is an example where we start to get into territory where it's a huge image that has a lot going on, and just an alt tag is not going to cut it. So if I was going to put this on my website, I would say something in the alt text like 2 bar graphs of web page size distribution from 2010 to 2016. And then I would add a caption underneath that image. So this would be seen by everybody, not just read by a screen reader, but users would be able to read this as well, those who don't have visual impairments. And the caption that I would enter this would be something like, the above figure shows how much each part of a web page has grown in terms of kilobytes. Images have almost tripled from roughly 500 kilobytes to 1500 kilobytes on average. Quick caption that just gives a little extra context of what's happening and why the user should care about this. What is that takeaway that they want? It just expands a little bit more. And then if they want to go into detail to look at it, they can. For screen readers, they get the, the main takeaway that would be on this page for why this graph would show up. The last type of image that you need to consider for alt tags is actually one of the easiest ones when it comes to alt tags. And those are decorative images. So decorative images are the lines, patterns, otherwise ornamental additions to your web page. And these are ones that don't really add anything extra, and the screen reader should just skip them. So for example, on the left here, you will see that little leaf above the testimonial that's on my website. That's purely decorative. It does not add to any information. So the alt text on this is just empty, 2 quotes with nothing in them. And this is because if you're using a screen reader and it's reading through the page and then all of a sudden it says green leaf from a plant and then reads the testimonial, that doesn't add anything to the experience and would just kind of cause confusion and just extra noise. So that's something that you can skip. And then on the right here, let's say those borders, if those were just like a standalone image, those would also be blank, like the image of the website mockup. That can have an alt tag, but the borders themselves, like if you were putting an alt tag to that, it'd probably be like blue half circle border. That doesn't tell you anything. So that's why we want to skip them. They're just not worth it to help the user through anything. And all of this info, I want to give a huge shout out to Lanine over at Splation. She's doing great things. And yeah, you can find her at Splation Lab, Splation Studio on Instagram. And also if you click that in the PDF, you will go to her website, and I'll also link her website down below. So yeah, go through all of your homepage images, figure out what kind they are in all of this, and write alt tags for them, and then just update them on your website that way. I didn't include a chart here because I figured that would be extra work. You can usually just go through them one by one.